A difficult consideration is that if we grant that all the so-called hybrid on Griffin or attacks on Griffin um, are primarily due to Russian takeover of the internet and of the larger information sphere, then we would be in a situation where I think this thesis of the German-Russian dialectic of the pseudomorphosis, which is the sense of, in a way, we could understand it this way: there's forms of doing things, such as that the Republican form of government is a form of government, and then you try to force them on your neighbor, and you give them more prestige or less prestige, and they have to kind of go along with it. So, for instance, that Putin, formally the Russian Federation Constitution grants more rights to the citizens than does the U.S. Constitution. It's more liberal than liberal, but the way they actually operate is not like that because the mores are different, the ethnos is different. But they have to present it formally that way because of this war of the pseudomorphosis. This is what I'm trying to develop, because the liberal democratic in the Fukuyama sense, in the Merz sense, in the Ursula von der Leyen sense, formalisms, the accidental way the public appearance for the world stage has to be. Like, everyone wears suits, right? Almost everyone wears suits. Then you got some, like maybe Modi doesn't wear a suit. Japanese guys have worn this suit since after they were shown the mirror for the second time, shown the Western mirror for the second time, as Mishima puts it, after World War II. They started wearing, I think they actually received these orders for delivering the surrender in wearing Western suits. So this is an imaginary problem, an aesthetic problem as much as anything else. Or why do I say problem? I don't know. But it's just as a phenomenological description of what's happening. It happens on all these different levels simultaneously, and maybe Eugene Ionesco is the most sort of quartz crystal clear theorist of it. But he just shows, this is what happens. The rhinoceros starts to appear beautiful, and the rhinoceros table of values comes to present itself as the dancing star, as Nietzsche put it, the one with the most natural insistence somehow, the dominance, the most originality. Now notice how there's this corruption whereby originality, which is supposed to be something different, can immediately be observed in a kind of Kafkaesque sense, in a fabulous sense, as exactly the same thing as domination, originality, domination. So that the dark, what Dugin's calling the dark state, I call the dominance entity after Gramsci. Those who don't want to take responsibility for their Dasein, as Heidegger did, as Jaspers did, as Leo Strauss said, this is why Heidegger engaged with the National Socialists, because what he said in the Sophist book, in the dedication to Nator, exactly that, and it has to do with pacifism, in fact. So this is, if you want to state it in high terms, beautifully, what you say is Heidegger's contact with the Nazis is the same as Platon when he went to see the tyrant at Syracuse. he attempted to bring philosophy to the tyrant. So this is the correct way to see it. But we have these incidents. So the people are criticizing me, saying, why are you focusing on this trivial political bullshit? But the point is, we have these incidents that are showing the poetry of principles of the arche of everything that is the tradition between Aristotle going back to the first Greek thinkers is trying to present us with these emotions of somebody who was blind but then has come into possession of sight of these things and is in a state of awake concern over their destiny as something which is a secret knowledge which the squirrels have apparently gone on in about the same way for 10,000 years, 20,000 years, 30,000 years. They're still making, maybe they have slightly improved on some of their techniques for hiding acorns, just as in 40,000 years maybe the iPhone will be slightly better than it is now in terms of how fast it can recharge or something, or maybe it won't even need to recharge. But hopefully, I suppose, in 40,000 years. But the squirrels don't innovate that much. Whereas this is like the ultimate heimat for an actual being, is this moment between the different cross sections in this gigantic smashed pottery, which was going through the we should say it, archaic globalization. It's not actually a bad thing. That was happening when, I recently posted something of same time as Draco, or the so-called draconian laws coming in under the tyrant Pisistratus and the Pisistrati, 6th century BC, this gigantic smelted ornamental pot, which is shipped to the Celts all the way in the Britons, 6th century BC, long before, we're talking 500, almost 500 years before Caesar went up to the British Isles. So this is something which, from the point of view of the cosmology of physics, is trivial because it's 14 something billion years. But then one has to realize that also this 14 billion years in the notion of physics is totally meaningless, because it has no connection to either sense data or to reason, but only to the data gathered by apparatuses which calculate things like whether an electron has been by here or not. It's totally meaningless data, which is then interpreted as supposedly meaning something. And then you wonder if this displacement of the human being, which is Richard Dawkins so celebrates, is actually, and that's the point, is it in accordance with reason? Is it even reasonable? It's totally stupid. It has no meaning, because it's just on the same level as sort of somebody who's got this raw data about how an electron moves and is pretending to be ignorant of human life in toto, and then saying, oh, let's look at this model, let's look at that model and see what the results are in terms of its predictive power, and just jumping around forever.